Welcome back to the Podwans podcast. I am your host, Lucas, and with me is my co-host, David.
Hey guys, how's
How's
it
it going?
going? You
Oh,
excited?
Drinks you owe me a soda.
What about some blue milk?
Oh, blue milk, yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Only if it's made in Aunt Beru's hut.
I heard that they interviewed. Holy cow! Already drawing blanks today. Today's gonna be a fun episode.
Oh yeah.
Uh, 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 the guy who played Luke Skywalker.
Oh, Mark Hamill.
They interviewed him, and he was like, they were like, "What do you think of the milk?" And he was like, "The blue milk tasted awful. The purple milk was
Or the
was
green
it
milk.
purple or
Green
green?
milk. Green milk.
Green milk was amazing. Green milk was like this like minty Kool-Aid kind of thing, and blue milk tasted like milk with like cardboard powder in it or something like that. I don't know, but he talked about it. And apparently they like actually flavored the green milk. The first
Oh
time
yeah.
around they're like, "Here, have this mystery liquid."
Oh yeah. That doesn't sound good at all.
Oh,
Um, David, you want to get some disclaimers out of the way?
okay. I would like to apologize on behalf of the podcast to the entire Star Wars nation, the universe. I got really excited in the last episode, and I may have referred to both episode 1 Phantom Menace and episode 2 Attack of the Clones as Clone Wars several times throughout our previous podcast. There, if you could follow along, great. If not, sorry. We're not correcting it, and
No, we
my
don't.
intention is just that's the mystery. Which one was I talking about? Who knows? Or
Yeah,
maybe we find out later today.
we stand by our beliefs
It's
and
a
our morals.
It's a podcast, guys. We're not going to go back and edit ourselves. This is raw
No.
and unfiltered, good quality,
Yes.
sometimes inaccurate content.
But I will say we won't make mistakes like that. Well,
Never.
I
Never.
will.
Going forward, this is going to be a perfect podcast. We're never going to make a mistake like that.
I will take some blame for the mistakes that were happening because I am supposed to be the leader of this group, and I failed. I failed everybody. And you know what?
You're like the master, but
I know.
Yeah,
I've really failed. I failed. So
let's chalk it up to the fact that I'm a Star Wars newbie.
yes,
How about
we'll
that?
just do that. We'll do that.
How about that?
And with speaking of that, we're on to episode 2 of Clone Wars season 1. David, would you like to add something?
Another thing, so especially for these first 9 episodes, but going forward, here's another thing that I wanted to notate. So going forward, let's try. We're not going to be perfect, or are we? Who knows?
Yeah.
Anytime we are referring to the show, the Clone Wars, it'll be season 1, episode 1, season 1, episode 2, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Anytime we refer to the movies, to try and clear up confusion on the listener's part, we will refer to them as the name of the movie and not the episode of the movie.
Yes.
Or maybe we might, but we'll always try and at least let you know which movie we're talking about instead of saying like, oh, episode 9, because there's no idea. We have, our last episode was very confusing.
Oh yeah,
but we're getting there.
We're getting there. But speaking of we are going to get into season 1, episode 2, Rising Malevolence, directed by yours truly, Dave Filoni, and written by Stephen Melching. So the synopsis: creating panic throughout the galaxy, a devastating separatist mystery weapon terrorizes the clone Starfleet. Anakin and Ahsoka race to save Jedi Master Plo Koon and his clone troopers in time. Jedi Master Plo Koon and his squad barely survive an attack from a mysterious separatist warship called the Malevolence. Can they stay alive long enough for Anakin and Ahsoka to come find them? Let's find out. I felt like that was a good how they start every episode. I thought that I did it really well.
That's maybe even better than last week.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So where is this taking place compared to the last season 1, episode 1?
Okay, so
I know timey-wimey timeline stuff. It's not a straight path.
So ambush would be the 6th episode, I believe, that you watch. if you're watching it in chronological order. Let me pull this up real quick.
You can't. Well, let's. Can we put links in the episode notes?
Yes, yeah, we can, and we'll
We
just
should
put a
put
link in the episode notes.
we should put a link to the chronological order in episode notes. If you guys want to watch it that way, that's great. We are going to be watching
In release order.
in release order because that's a whole can of worms.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be, it's a real interesting. So Ambush, technically, I've got it pulled up now. Ambush is actually the 5th episode.
Or in chronological order.
Yes, in chronological order. Then this one is it's, and then it goes for a quite a while
So
in order.
how's it go? Is it like it's like season 2 or season
So
3 and it's like halfway through the season?
yep, so season 2 episode 16, and then season 1 of yeah, season 1 episode 16, and then the movie, then season 3 episode 1, then season 3 episode 3, then and then Ambush,
Then
and
you're
then you go
finally
through.
at season 1
Yeah.
episode 1 and then you jump around again, don't you?
Halfway through, yes, you do.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yes, this would be the 5th episode technically, but we are doing it through release order. So that's why we're talking about it that way.
But okay, so then in the timeline, this is the next episode taking place after Ambush, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
absolutely. So I mean, they did kind of go by order, but they
It
really
just
didn't.
jumps around a lot.
It
I'm sure
does.
it'll make sense as we go through.
Yeah, it will. It definitely will. Okay, so
So we have a very Star Wars y beginning. We cut
yes,
to ships in space. Uh,
absolutely.
3 Republic cruisers approach Grievous's battleship called the Malevolence. It's
Yep.
got like a very like pre Death Star kind of look to it. It's got this
Yes.
giant saucer on the side of it. We don't know what that is. They don't really allude to it right away yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very clear in the beginning of the episode that they've been searching for this ship. Grievous has this ship that's just like wiping out fleets of Republic cruisers, and they have
Yep.
no idea how or why or what's happening. But there's never any survivors. It's absolutely devastating. So they're searching for this thing.
Yep. So back to your point of the Death Star, I believe that this is like the first technology that Palpatine or Sidious gives to the Confederacy to kind of plan with the whole kyber crystal that they use in the Death Star. I feel like that weapon that they used was powered by a kyber crystal. I could be wrong, but
On Grievous's on Malevolence.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
That's what I
it
believe, because it does the same type of thing that you see in the Death Star in both Rogue One and the original trilogy. You see the folks sitting next to the that hallway.
Yeah,
People are just gonna go crazy.
there's
They get
that
that
scene
shot.
where
Yeah.
you get the 2 battle droids that are kind of sitting in the corridor and you see the
Yes.
laser go by them, and it's
Uh-huh.
very reminiscent of
Of A
other
New
movies
Hope.
where we've
Yep.
seen that exact same shot.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
But I will say, so the technology is different though. This is very much like an EMP, an electronic modified.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it stands for, but it disables all the electronics. Their shields
Yep.
are knocked out, their power is knocked out, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't actually do any destruction, whereas like the Death Star is like literally blowing stuff up.
Yeah, but I definitely think it could have been a
Oh, I think
definitely
it's
a prototype for sure.
for sure a progression, because I mean, like they allude to, like, you see that laser like cut through this like circular hole and the droids react to it. Yeah, it's totally a nod to the original movies.
Yep, and then we get our first scenes with Anakin and Ahsoka. This is the first time we've seen Anakin
Mhm.
since episode
Yeah,
since Attack of the Clones. Almost made that mistake. Attack of the Clones. He
we're
now
supposed to be
has.
perfect.
No, I know. He now
So,
has his Padawan,
so yeah,
Ahsoka.
so we cut to Plo Koon. First time we're also meeting him. He reaches out to Anakin with Ahsoka in tow. but halfway through trying to reach out to him, the transmissions get cut out. So yeah, so this is the first time we meet tons of people. We meet Plo Koon for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Not in canon, right?
Nope, not in canon. He is seen in the Phantom Menace,
And in
um,
Attack of
and
the
Attack of
Clones.
Clones.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. In the Phantom Menace, he is in both High Council scenes with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and then with Anakin
Mm-hmm.
when they're
And in
testing
the
him.
and in the second one, he's in the battle, but he's also. Do we see him anywhere else in the second? This
No, he just in
just
the
in the
big
battle.
old battle
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Attack of the Clones. Yep.
But okay, so who is Plo Koon?
So he is a Caldor, and
Mm-hmm.
he is from the planet Doran.
Mm-hmm.
A small little tidbit there: the mask that he wears, the black thing, actually keeps him from dying because he can't pull in oxygen, from what I understand. If he takes it
Does
off on some planets, he will die. So it's ultimately like him. It's I would compare it to the Predator from the Predator versus Alien
so it's like a
franchise.
gas mask.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He it must be a powerful one because later on in the episode he goes out without any space gear on
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, I can handle
Well,
it.
it causes it's able to let him breathe in space,
Low
which is
oxygen
very.
situations.
Yep,
Yeah, that's pretty
absolutely.
very
And
cool technology.
then yeah, and
So
then
and then so he's a master. He's obviously he's on the council. He's a general in the war.
yep,
He's running a fleet.
yes,
We also meet Ahsoka right away.
yes.
This is the
Um,
first time that we see. Oh, so we see her in the movie, which takes place before, which is released before this episode comes out. But this is the
yes,
first time in Clone Wars that we see her.
yep. In the TV show, yes, this is the first
It,
time you see her.
so who is she? Where did she come from?
So she's a Togruta,
Hmm.
and she is the same species as Shakti,
Who we've seen
who we've seen in
in the
plenty of
movies?
things,
Yeah.
plenty of things.
Hmm.
And she's from Chile. And in the episode, Ahsoka says to go to Master Plo Koon or Master Plo Koon, I think it is, and then he says something back to her, um, uh, Tokoyama, little Ahsoka. Well, the reason for that is that Plo Koon was actually the Jedi Master to find Ahsoka and actually bring her to the temple to be trained. So that's interesting.
Mm.
That's a little tidbit. And then they go back and you'll find out in later seasons that they have a really strong connection to each other.
Yeah, I'm excited. It
But yeah.
I always thought Plo Koon was like one of the coolest looking Jedi's. I mean that mask, it makes him look like a badass.
Oh
So the
yeah.
fact that we actually get to see him talk, and I'm very excited to see his character develop. I hope that we see him a lot of him.
Oh yeah, you see a little bit of him. Funny story, his whole platoon is called the Wolf Pack. The main reason
Mm.
why they're called the Wolf Pack is because Dave Filoni is a big his favorite animal is a wolf.
So it's a
So
little nod to.
to Dave to yeah, he made them Wolf Pack. And their leader is Captain Wolf, or no, Commander Wolf. Who shows up quite a bit in the series and in other series as well. Um, but
We'll get
that's
there.
all we'll talk about.
So Ahsoka and Anakin, they're in the middle of talking to Plo Koon. The transmission gets jammed.
Yes.
Ahsoka and Anakin then have to talk to the council. Um, the council decides that okay, so this Grievous's ship is just taken out ship after ship after ship. We can't afford to lose anything else.
Yeah.
Anakin, we want you to go protect supply lines.
Yep.
So, and right off the bat, Ahsoka is like super against this. She's like, no, we have to go try and save these people. But Master Plo Koon is like really close to me. We've got to go try and see if there's any survivors.
Yeah.
To which the
Absolutely.
to which the council says, no dice. Sorry, it's great that you're speaking up, but you need to go do what we told you to.
Well, and here's the other thing. Anakin says before they even walk into the um into the council chamber, only speak when spoken to, or something along
Mm-hmm.
those lines. And
Mm-hmm.
what does she do? She speaks out of turn,
Who does
which
that? Who does that sound like to
it's
you?
very much like Anakin.
Yeah.
Very much. You're gonna see a lot of character development in the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka. Builds on so much of what Episode 3 and the tragedy of that story.
Right.
Um, that relationship really makes this show work, and I love the interaction between those two. And I mean, originally nobody really liked her, and then the show started becoming a hit and they really enjoyed her, which is great because she is such a great a female presence, that I feel like she doesn't get a lot of respect. Excuse me. Wow. She doesn't get a whole lot of respect. But that whole character arc is amazing to me. It's one of the best in all of Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that too. So yeah, so we also hear and see from Chancellor Palpatine. We see for the first time Obi-Wan Kenobi, who
Yes.
by the way, I had to look it up. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I thought that was actually Owen McGregor for a second.
Yeah, Ewan. Yeah, Ewan.
Uh
Yeah, uh-huh.
Ewan McGregor, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Uh it, the voice acting is spot on. He really gets that kind of mannerism and the
Yeah,
playfulness across.
absolutely.
James Arnold Taylor. Did I say
Yes,
that one
James
right?
Arnold. Yep, James Arnold Taylor.
Who
Yeah, go ahead.
he also plays Plo Koon.
Yep.
So it really really good acting on the voice acting part.
Another thing with James Arnold Taylor and Obi-Wan, he actually has voiced Obi-Wan the longest. He is the longest running actor to have played Obi-Wan. Um, he did the Clone Wars 2D animated series. He was Obi-Wan for that. And I believe he was in the old Clone Wars video game as well, which
He's
came out in 2003 as well.
he's more Obi-Wan than Ewan
Then
McGregor
Alec Guinness.
or Sir Alec Guinness.
Yep.
Arguably, I mean, yeah, they're in the films, but he does more of the voice acting than either of the two of them ever did.
Yep.
More
Absolutely.
acting.
Yep. Absolutely. He does.
Wow, wow.
Absolutely. But he does a really great job. It doesn't jar anything. Um, like you would think that not hearing Ewan's voice would be jarring, but it's not. He fits that character so well that it just doesn't pull yourself out. And it doesn't really pull myself when I hear Anakin. It doesn't pull me out of it. So that was good that they got good actors that could embody those characters, because they
Yeah.
are so iconic and it's very important to the
It
saga.
yeah, you never want to distract from the acting. The whole time the last thing you want to be thinking about is it actually.
Yeah, you don't want to have to fight yourself on being that's not Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I mean, it's not supposed to be, but it's Anakin.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah.
Well, and I mean that uh there's been several different actors playing each role throughout the movies
Yeah.
themselves. I mean, talk about, Darth Vader was played by one actor, voiced by
David
another in the
Prowse. Yep.
original series, and
Yep.
then played by two more in episode 1. He was played by
You
in
mean
Phantom
episode
Menace he was played by
You
what's the
mean
kid's
Anakin?
Anakin was played by
Yes.
that the child.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name.
If
Tyler
only there was.
something. It was Tyler something. No, it's not. It's not Tyler. Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd for the win.
Yes, yes.
For the win. Yeah.
And
So
then
Jake
and
Lloyd,
then and
and
then
then
by Hayden
Hayden Christensen,
Christensen
and
in episode 2 and 3.
he was actually in the suit in episode 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew
He
that.
fought for it. They didn't want to give it to him right away.
Yep, and he earned it. He definitely earned it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyways, oh, you know what I'd also be interested in seeing? I
What?
wonder who plays Darth Vader in which movie is that? Rogue
Rogue
One.
One. They had a bodybuilder. play
So
him.
yeah, so he's been played by several different people throughout the
Yep.
movies.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
so having a different voice actor isn't honestly all that strange.
No, as long as Darth Vader is voiced by James Earl Jones, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
really will pull me out.
Uh,
Now
so
getting
anyways,
back to the story.
yeah.
Take it away, David.
A few. So yeah. So we cut to Anakin and Ahsoka are sent to go protect the supply lines. Anakin's like, "Hey guys, we're gonna take a ship. We're gonna go search in advance and try and make sure there's no one out there." And they Anakin kind of does a little bit of sneaky business, and
Yeah.
um, they fly to the crash site. Where they fly to the last place where Plo Koon was heard.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka tries like getting defensive, and she brings it up again, and she's like, "Hey, like, just so you know, like, I want to tell you why I wanted to go and protect Plo Koon," and Anakin cuts her off.
Yeah. Um, I mean, we'll talk about it here in a little bit. He he tries to make a teaching moment
Mm-hmm.
to her, and it sort of works. Um, but the other thing, also while Anakin and Ahsoka are traveling through hyperspace, the clones with Plo Koon think of themselves again as very expendable.
Yeah.
Which from the last episode, Yoda kind of saying you are individual people in the Force, and Plo Koon kind of says around the similar thing. Um, but if you think about it from a strategic point, yes, they are absolutely expendable. They're the
Mm-hmm.
most expendable thing in the entire Republic.
I'm sure that's how they're trained. I'm sure when they're
Yes,
being raised on
absolutely.
Camino, they're being told, "You guys are not here to save yourselves. You are not a one person. You are serving as a collective."
And I will say some of my favorite moments aren't from the Jedi. It's actually from the clones.
Mm-hmm.
So that I hope that gets you excited because seeing the clones actually become their own kind of characters and
Yeah.
building stuff, it's great. It's great storytelling. But again,
So
take it
yeah.
away.
So they we cut to, and the clones are talking to Plo Koon. They're talking about how expendable they are. Um, Plo Koon's like, well, let's at least try and repair the pod. That way, if someone does come and save us, they'll find us.
And they'll be able to
And
yeah.
yeah, so Anakin reveals to Ahsoka, like I say, they pull up to the crash site. He reveals to Ahsoka that they are in fact looking for survivors instead of looking for the weapon that they were sent to. She has that line that's like, uh,
Oh, so
what
it's only okay when it's only okay when you break the rules. I
he
can't break
said.
the rules.
He said, "I'm not saying I'm breaking the rules. It's just about how you follow the rules."
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is his sneaky way of being like, "I am Anakin Skywalker
Skywalker.
after all."
Yeah, absolutely. I am the chosen one. I can do whatever I want.
So
Kind of doing that
so
whole
so
thing.
so Plo and his clones are able to get the pod operating, and just in time to hear another pod. There's other survivors. They hear them screaming for help in here. Uh, we hear them screaming for help and that someone's coming out to get them. All of a sudden, they get cut off, and then we see the camera kind of pans over, and you see this droid-looking clamp device kind of break down the pod and kills
Mm-hmm.
the other clones.
Now let me say one thing. Does it make you see? Did you did you hear the droid doing the
I
like doing
did
like a? I
the
was
little
like,
Imperial March.
it's like, is that the Imperial March or is that just like something that they decided to do?
No,
But I
if you
thought it was
turn on
really
the close,
funny.
if you turn on the closed captions, it says
Imperial March.
droid humming Imperial March. Yeah, no,
That's funny. That's really funny.
it's
I never really connected that, but yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like.
I get so torn. I mean, we're only on episode 2, but there's
Mhm.
our this is a kid show. It came out on Cartoon Network, but
Yeah.
there's some adult themes. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
you watch these clones get sucked out of the pod and they die, and it's horrifying. But then at the next second, you get the comic relief
Yeah.
of the droids going dun 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 dun, dun and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. It's really interesting, and I'm glad that they did that in the show, because I think
Yeah.
if you just have the droids as this like menacing robotic presence, the show gets a whole lot darker.
Yeah,
Versus
absolutely.
versus if they're they look up and they're like, why is there a Jedi out in space? Like it's
Yeah,
just
pretty
it,
much.
it cuts down the tone a lot of the series.
No, speaking of Plo Koon being out in space, I thought like so it's like when you watch it, you think how is that working? Like when you watch the show or watch the movies and you see explosions, you're like, that's not possible. There's not air. Like that's not possible to have an explosion in space.
Okay, if you have John and Hank Green have a YouTube series. John Green wrote Turtles All the Way Down, and he wrote big young adult author.
Okay.
Um, they recently just did a podcast, and they talked about that. So basically, the theory is, according to them at least, the explosions in space happen because the fuel type isn't necessarily um, it's not
Uh,
necessarily like an earth derivative. It may not be like
gotcha.
gasoline, right? It's
No, that makes sense.
like a hyperdrive type, who knows how that thing's powered and who knows
Yeah,
how that thing combusts.
that's true. That's
So,
good. That's good call. That's good call. That's
yeah,
absolutely true.
everything's got an explanation.
No, yeah.
But also there is oxygen on the ship itself, so
Yes,
that
there
is an
is.
ignition source too. Would
Yep.
it necessarily blow up like that? Who knows? I mean, we don't see a whole lot of space explosions, but
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, Anakin and Ahsoka are searching for other survivors. Obi-Wan discovers that Anakin has deviated from the original plan because he's kind of MIA.
Yep.
I have a feeling that that's not going to be the first time that he's MIA.
Oh no, 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 no.
That's kind of his thing, I
Oh yeah,
feel.
absolutely.
But Palpatine gets word that Anakin's missing. He radios into Anakin and he's like, dude, what the heck? The council super mad at you. You need to get your butt back. And Anakin, he's willing to ignore the council, but Palpatine says, get your butt back over there. He's
Mhm.
like, yes, sir, absolutely, right away.
Yep, absolutely. I mean that just goes to show you the manipulation already taking place
Yeah.
that we see in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, and you also see it in comics too. There was a comic run where there was Anakin as still a Padawan with Obi-Wan, and um, Palpatine takes him down to the lower levels of Coruscant and shows him the nitty gritty of what people are truly really
Oh,
about.
really?
So I have that actual comic that I'll have to give you to read. Um,
What
but
series is that?
Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you've got Marvel Unlimited.
I do have Marvel
So
Unlimited.
we'll get to other Star Wars news later, but back to the rewatch.
So yeah, so as so Palpatine says, "Hey, you guys got to go back." Anakin's like, "Yes, sir. I'm not going to listen to the council, but I'll listen to you." And as he's like getting ready to like turn the ship around, Ahsoka's like, "Wait, I can sense Plo Koon. He's reaching
Mm-hmm.
out to me." That's when we find out. We find out that Ahsoka was discovered by Plo Koon.
Yes. Yep. 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 As I mentioned earlier, yes, the Master Plo Koon actually was the one that discovered Ahsoka and
Mm-hmm.
brought her to the temple. So they have they've been really close friends for a long
Super
time.
intimate connection.
Yes, absolutely. And as the droids start to clamp down on the pod, um,
Yeah,
Ahsoka
Ahsoka
picks.
she yanks the controls and she's like,
Yep.
"No, we're going that way."
Yeah.
We see Plo Koon and a couple troopers go out and they're trying to defend the ship, but yeah, the clamps are coming down. This thing is a horrifying ship, by the
Oh
way.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
This pod destroyer thing,
It's almost
like,
like Jaws, to be honest. It's
yeah,
kind of eerily to like Jaws.
and I mean, I could just imagine like just getting sucked out through a tiny little hole. It's a horrible way to go.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Terrifying.
But so yeah, so they discover this ship. Anakin and Ahsoka blow it up. Um, they wrangle up the survivors, Plo Koon and the clones. Everyone makes it out okay. And then we kind of they're escaping. And that's when Plo Koon reveals to Anakin and to Ahsoka, like, hey, they're picking up, this machine's like a massive EMP machine,
Yep.
and it's, we got to turn off all the radio signals, we got to turn off all the communications,
Yep.
and and then we see this like medical droid that's like downstairs and he's helping all the guys, and he like goes upstairs and he's like, hey guys, anything I can help you out with?
Yeah,
They're like,
pretty
oh my
much.
god, we forgot to turn off
Off
the
the
medical
medical
droid.
droid. Yep.
So they
Yep.
pick up, Grievous's ship picks up the signal from the droid.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that drone go, hey, we pick up very small life force or machine force, but it's not from us. It's definitely
It's definitely a different
opposing.
shirt. Yep.
And so yeah, so they hightail it. They barely get out of the way of the EMP.
Yep.
They make it back to Coruscant. And then you have that scene at the very end where Anakin and Ahsoka are getting off the ship, and they're like, "Oh man, like, hey, we made it." Plo Koon's already headed back to the Jedi Council, and
Mm-hmm.
Anakin turns to Ahsoka, and he's like, "All right, time to face the music." And she's like, "Man, like, do we really have to? Like, we did a really good thing." And
Yep.
it teaches you a lesson, or at least Anakin's teaching Ahsoka a lesson, right?
Which ultimately teaches is a kind of a wink wink nudge nudge lesson to us as the audience of actions always have consequences, whether
Mhm.
they are good or bad. Um
And if it's for the greater good, maybe it's worth it.
that maybe it's worth it. Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things about this episode. Really like the tone throughout the entire thing. It felt it was very much like high stakes. Um
Hmm.
and most of this show will have high stakes. It's very, very good.
There's a lot of
Um
self-sacrificing in the show.
yes, absolutely.
You have Plo
Um
Koon going out, and he's like, "I'm going to risk my body. I can handle this
yep,
for a short period of time, but maybe it'll buy us a little bit of time." You
yep.
have Anakin and Ahsoka both going against the order of the Jedi Council.
Mhm.
You then have Ahsoka once again going against the orders of Palpatine.
Yes.
And yeah, at the end of the very last thing we see is them dealing with those consequences, or getting ready to deal with those consequences,
Or not having to deal with the consequences because they found out how to destroy the weapon.
or in what it was. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, now time since we've gone, that is episode 2 of season 1 of Star Wars The Clone Wars Rising the Malevolence.
How do
We
you
will
rank it?
now give our rankings to go
Yeah.
down again. Padawan Youngling is bad, Padawan is Jedi Knight is okay, Jedi Master is good, and Grand Master is excellent. Top-notch chef's kiss. What would your ranking be first, David?
I want you. You should go first this time. I went first last time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I will say it's Jedi Master.
Okay. I was
For
thinking the
me,
same thing.
for me, it takes a whole lot, and there will be a lot of grandmasters. Especially in there's an arc in season 5 that I absolutely it's one of the best Star Wars telling, like Star Wars storytelling in all of the canon. But we'll get into that in probably 6 months, the way we're going. But definitely good. It's a good episode. The biggest skepticism when I tell people to watch the Clone Wars, I always say season 1 is kind of hard to get through, but once you do, you'll be so grateful that you do. And
What
even
what don't
rewatching
you
it,
what don't you like about this episode?
you can kind of tell, and it's very technical things. Like you can kind of see that the animation is dated a little bit, but I mean, for what it is, it's pretty good.
I mean, it's an
Um,
artistic choice, right? They
yeah,
could have made it more realistic looking,
no,
for
they could
sure.
have absolutely. Um, Sometimes the pacing's a little off. But having rewatch, and I think that's the greatest thing about starting this podcast and doing rewatches is that you find a different perspective after watching it. So I mean, before I would have done the podcast, I would have said it was a Padawan. It was but I would say it was Jedi Master. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
I'm gonna give it night. I think it was very middle of the road. Like it was a good
Okay.
episode.
Is it was
And
it better than Ambush?
see, here's where I have to back down from myself, right? Because I gave that one
Uh-huh.
a Grandmaster.
Yeah.
I would put these two episodes in very similar quality.
Okay, so
So
you
maybe I
would
want to back down on that one.
okay.
Maybe they're both masters, but
Yeah.
either way, this episode definitely had room to improve. I feel like they could have maybe. I know they only have 20 minutes, but I feel
Yep.
like you could have maybe explained Grievous's ship a little more. I'm
Yes.
sure we will find out more about it later on down the road, and then who knows?
Yep.
I might change my ranking again.
Yep.
Um, but there were themes in this show, so I don't know how much you pay attention to lighting, but
The
uh,
lighting is like it was very much like a dark setter tone because half of the episode was out in
well,
space.
in the planet
The
itself is
planet,
red,
yes, it was very very ominous looking, especially when you
so
see the pan of the ship go across the planet red planet, and then you just see this speck or this line of a ship going across it. I thought that was very very awesome. That
mhm.
was very very
when
incredible.
Anakin and Ahsoka first come to the system, you see their ship is just bathed in red light, and I feel like that's kind of a nod to Anakin going against the Council and kind of going against the Jedi's in
That's
general.
interesting. That's a good take. That's
I
really really interesting.
um
That's really good.
I don't know how in depth the directing is, but I feel like Dave Filoni's he always knows what he's doing.
Oh
And you
yes.
go and you watch a lot of the newer Star Wars stuff. I feel like light plays a big element. I mean, that's one of
Oh
the
yeah.
big directing tools that a director has is the use of light and the use of
And
foreshadowing,
settings and stuff like that.
setting tones.
If you watch the behind the scenes, he's giving directions and kind of setting the canvas of what their characters are seeing and whatnot. So I really he did a great job, and he everything that he's done so far in Star Wars is he's done really well. And I'm
But
glad that
so
he's in the direction that he is now.
yeah. So that's something that going forward I feel like I'm gonna pay a lot more attention to
Oh
is
yeah.
the lighting of the show and how that plays into the foreshadowing of
Yeah.
what goes on to happen to Anakin down the road.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, I give it a 3 out of 5. I think it has room to improve. I think, but I mean, the only way it could have really improved in my mind is if it had been a 45-minute episode, and
Yeah.
they had limits. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now we get into Star Wars news. Star Wars news. Yay. Um
we need to come up with a little sound blurb for that.
I know, I agree. Do like
We need to figure
a
something out.
hyperspace, something like
Submit
that.
your ideas, guys.
Yeah, submit your ideas. Give us your thoughts. So Star Wars Visions was a trailer was released on July 3rd on YouTube, and they also released it during a anime con. Don't ask me what the
That
the
happened.
con was.
What did that also happen this week?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's what they released the trailer to.
So it's a new Disney Plus series
And
set to
it's
come out September 22nd.
yep.
And the special look basically I mean describe the show.
So it's basically anime style. So anything
Hmm.
Japanese. So if you, I don't know how deep our listeners are going to understand anime. If you've seen Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Attack on Titan,
Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack,
There's tons and tons and tons. Attack on
yeah,
Titans. The list
Attack on
isn't
Titan.
the list is infinite.
It's infinite. It's a basic cartoon animation style of Japanese storytelling, Japanese or Korean, or Asian storytelling.
And so
Um,
this series is by several different studios.
yes,
It's not a one congruent story. It is several different separate stories made by
yeah,
several different creators.
no, yeah, absolutely, and I think it's going to be amazing. The one thing is, I'm I'm glad it's not canon. Um, it it
Oh, it's
gives
not?
no, absolutely not. No,
Hmm.
they came out and said no, it's not going to be canon. You know why it's such a great thing that it's not? Because it doesn't shoehorn them into making decisions. They're not handcuffed to making decisions that are
You don't have
going
to get the
to
Dave Filoni seal of approval at the end
exactly,
of the day.
exactly. You can do what you want. And there's a lot of stuff from Star Wars that is based on anime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to be the number one thing that I'm looking forward to,
It
but
looks it
I've
looks
always
good.
I've always wanted Star Wars to have an anime.
It
I think it's
reminds
perfect. I think it's a perfect setting in anime to where they could do it and do it justice.
for our listeners and watchers on YouTube who are old enough to go explore Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. It's very similar. That's a show that's also like different creators for each episode, and
Yeah.
they're all kind of just filtered around a central theme, which is kind of what I get from this so far. Is it's all like it's Star Wars universe, but other than that, we just let them do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's tons and tons of nods in the Star Wars universe to samurai culture, to Asian culture. George Lucas has referred several times to his influence by the Japanese filmmaker Kurosawa,
Yep,
who is that
he based the hero's journey off of Kurosawa and the
Fortress,
no, it's not that.
or was it 47 Samurai,
Yeah, it's the samurai. It's man, I'm going to kick myself for
or
not
isn't
getting
it? Is it
this.
47 Samurai?
I want to
That's the
say
name of the movie, right?
it might be
We could be wrong
um
though. All right, it's or Clone. Was the movie called Clone Wars?
no.
No.
No. Oh, you're making a joke. You're making a joke. Good one.
Oh, I cracked myself up, but
you,
apparently not you.
yeah, no, I just didn't,
I
I
knew what I was
wasn't,
talking about. Yeah, you
but
know the movie Clone Wars.
no, yeah, so Darth Vader's armor, was based on samurai,
Hmm.
armor as well.
In the
Um,
original drafts of the artwork,
the Ralph
it was
McQuarrie.
much closer to traditional samurai armor than it is now, and it
Yeah,
already has that look. It was very. You had like the hooded helmet, and you had yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a natural progression. I'm really excited to see how they explore the universe, and I love the art style. I think it's gonna be super super fun, super interesting. It's also kind of like what's the Marvel movie that they're or the Marvel series that they're coming out with?
The
There's
What If
another one,
series. The
the
What
What
If
If series.
series.
I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Disney Plus has so many things. You can go down so many rabbit holes if you give give the creators the ability to say,
Yeah,
yeah, what if? Who knows? What if we just here's an idea and run with it?
yeah. Um,
What
so
what about Rising Storm? Have you finished it yet?
Rising Storm. I am 25 chapters in. Love it. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
There's
Would
some
recommend.
tidbits and yo, yeah, absolutely. We'll have a segment sometime where I just rank all of my canon books and might have a whole episode on it. It's really good. Something that we didn't mention that's not in the notes, but I will bring up. Patty Jenkins actually talked about her upcoming movie Rogue Squadron.
Hmm.
Um, so I did you know that she was doing a movie?
Yes.
So
No.
she's basing this off of her father who was a fighter pilot. Um, we don't really know when this movie's gonna take place, but in an interview with who was it with? Who was it with? I'm trying to find it here. Hollywood Reporter. She came out and said it's going amazing. I've been on it already for 6 months before it even announced. So we're pretty deep into it. We're finishing a script, crewing up, and it's all going wonderful. I'm so excited about the story and excited that we're the next chapter of Star Wars, which is such a responsibility and such an opportunity to really start something new, some things new. And it's really exciting in that way. Um,
What's Peggy or Patty Jenkins done in the past?
Wonder Woman, 1984. She was slated. She was the original. Was supposed to be the original, of doing Thor: The Dark World.
Hmm.
Um, so that might have saved that franchise. But I mean, it's gonna be
Ragnarok was
interesting.
great. What are you talking about?
You mean Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah,
Thor: The
Thor
Dark
Rag.
World's Ragnarok is the third movie. I'm talking about the
Yeah,
second movie. She was slated to direct the second movie.
it would have saved that movie, but I think the franchise is doing quite well. I mean,
Yeah.
Ragnarok was, and then is it God of Love that's coming out next? Is there another one that's
Thor:
been
Love and
announced?
Thunder.
Love
Thor:
and
Love and
Thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah,
Um,
the franchise is doing fine. It's Marvel. It's gold,
yeah.
baby.
And she also said it's entirely different way of working since working on it during the pandemic. I'm on the phone with all of them and doing Zoom meetings with everybody involved in Star Wars all the time. I'm fairly free to do the story that we want to do, but you really need to know who's done what, who's doing what, where it goes, and how it works. So she's talking about working with the story group and keeping everything in canon, but also expanding canon at a point, which is really exciting because I think Star Wars is all about dogfights.
Do we
Um
do we know where in the timeline this movie is going to be taking
uh
place?
Not from what I can see. Um Movie after, oh, okay. So it takes place after the Rise of Skywalker.
Hmm.
So that's
That'll be
a,
our first canon
our first
after.
movie after the rise after the Skywalker saga.
Very
So
interesting.
that's interesting.
Lots to get into later on.
Yeah, and also the Book of Boba Fett, John Favreau, Filoni, and Bryce Dallas Howard have all been confirmed to direct episodes of the show that is now in post production, and which will be coming out in December of this year, 2021.
I
Also on
s-
the Patty Jenkins, that movie will be released in May or December of 2023, I believe.
yes, that's what I also saw. December of 2023 is what they're shooting for right now.
Yes.
Hmm.
So that's I it's keep it in December, baby. It kills it in December. Just keep it in Christmas time.
You know, for a very long time, my birthday's in December, and for a very long time, the release dates coincided with my birthday, so that
Yeah.
was my present to myself,
Oh yeah,
or
absolutely.
my now wife's present to
Haven't
myself.
haven't missed a opening night since Disney bought the franchise.
Really?
Yes, gone to every single movie opening night.
We were a little young to be dragging our parents to go see
Attack of the Clones,
Attack of the Clones.
Revenge of the Sith,
I
or
remember
Phantom
Revenge of the
Menace.
Sith going out and wanting to go to that
I
and
think
being a
I
little
ended
too
up
young to buy my own tickets. And we got to go like maybe like the second weekend, but my dad was like, "Yeah, I'm not fighting those crowds. Sorry, bud."
no, yeah, I went opening night to Revenge of the Sith.
It was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. It was the end of what we thought was going to be the saga.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of pent up energy. Now, speaking of the saga, we are going to do the ranking of our favorite Star Wars movies. This is also including Rogue One and Solo and the Clone Wars movie. So, David,
Don't
would
at us
yeah, don't add
or
us
do
or
at us.
do.
Let's have a discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
Do we?
Um
How do we want to do this? Do we want to go? Do we want to go one by one, where you reveal your top, I reveal my top, and then we argue, or do you want to go down? You want me to go down my list?
um you go
And
down your list and then I'll go down my list and then we'll have a discussion.
should I defend myself? I am gonna
I
have to
mean,
defend
you
myself.
can absolutely. I
Okay,
mean,
so
yeah, you're gonna.
I'm gonna reveal them. I'm not gonna say episodes because I'm gonna mess myself up,
Yep.
and I'm gonna call three different movies Attack of the Clones.
Okay,
Or,
sounds good.
who knows? We'll find out. Okay. So keep in mind, I am a 20-something-year-old man who grew up watching the first three episodes come out as I was growing up.
Yep.
My favorite movie, the movie that I've probably seen the most times, the movie that you can't argue with me, it's one of the best out there, the one that I played the Battle of Coruscant on Star Wars Battlefront like probably 50,000 times. My favorite movie is Attack of the Clones.
And you mean the Battle of Geonosis?
Geonosis. I'm sorry. Yes, Geonosis. I
I'm not letting you
with
make any more mistakes.
with the no, it's not the ATATs. It's the
No,
AT.
ATTEs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to drive those things around and just blowing up. Oh my god. The
Mm-hmm.
the epic battle where you see, I mean, they're just dropping down the drones and they're dropping down
The
or
walkers.
the clones and the droids, and you just, oh man. I'm a sucker for a great battle scene, and that's
Okay.
probably, of all the movies I've ever, all the big superhero or fantasy movies that I've seen, that's up there in the top 10.
Okay.
Um, Second is A New Hope. Um, it's a good
It's
classic
a
hero
classic.
movie.
It's a
It is.
classic.
If you were to look up 100 classic movies, that one's probably on there somewhere.
It's probably top 50.
Empire Strikes Back. I thought that the storytelling of Empire Strikes Back is probably one of the strongest. I think there's maybe not as fight me, but there's I watching that movie as a child, there was nothing I could find wrong with it, and watching it as an adult, there's very little I could find wrong with it.
Yeah.
I mean, short of some corny lines every now and then, but I mean, it is a 30 or 40-year-old movie at this point.
Yep.
Uh, Rogue One is my fourth favorite.
It's a great film. I
Rogue
love that
One
film
is
so much.
the
So much.
storytelling. They really took their time on that,
Mm-hmm.
and exploring the origins of the Death Star, and there wasn't a single actor in that movie that didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Number five, Phantom Menace. Again, I think I'm gonna upset a lot of people by putting Phantom Menace anywhere but last place. But dude, Darth Maul. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Like,
No.
he's a badass.
He's the most iconic. He's one of the most iconic villains in all of the saga. I will give you that. Yes,
Qui Gon
absolutely. And
Jinn.
Qui-Gon and I I
And you
will
know what?
yeah. Yeah.
I'll I will tweet out my home address and we can fight about it. But Jar Jar Binks is a good character.
Okay. Well,
For
just just just
okay,
just
can I
go
put
down the rest of your
here's
list.
my asterisk. Here's my asterisk.
Okay.
For a 10-year-old when the movie's coming out.
Yes, absolutely. You're right.
Loved it.
You're
Loved
right.
it.
You're all right. You're absolutely right.
I don't know about nowadays. I haven't seen the movie in a couple years, and that's probably a good thing. It'd probably be lower in my list if I had.
Oh,
but...
it would definitely be lower on your list.
The Last Jedi is number 6. It's
Yep.
my first of the what would we call the 6 or 7, 8, 9
The sequel trilogy.
the sequel series, first of the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
I thought it was better than Force Awakens. I really liked how they explored Kylo Ren's backstory in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the filmmaking was great.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi right after Last Jedi. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the list. Yeah. Return of the Jedi, classic, right?
Yep. Classic.
Then Force Awakens. I thought Force Awakens was good, but I thought it was campy. I thought that
too closely to A New Hope.
And I mean, they basically spend the entire show nodding to Star Wars, right? Like, it's not its own thing. It's just like, oh hey, remember the Millennium Falcon? Oh hey, remember? Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, and it's just a new story. Right after that, Revenge of the Sith. I think
this is the worst. And you know what? No, just continue. Continue.
So I don't think controversial. I don't even know if it's controversial. I feel like Star Wars isn't good at closing a series. Revenge of the Sith, and then Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Both of them were.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi does a pretty good job.
Return of the Jedi does a good job, but the other two are just, they missed the mark. And I'm sorry, they missed the mark. Rise of Skywalker's right after that. Yeah, I think Rise of Skywalker didn't Dave Filoni or no, not Dave Filoni. Who directed Force Awakens?
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams. He recently came out, and I heard that he said something to the effect of,
Yeah,
"It
we
really
didn't have
would
a
have been
plan.
good if we had a plan for
Plan.
all three movies before we released them." And I think the entire Star Wars fan base was like, "You frickin' think, man?"
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to have a segment where we just talk about the sequels and
Yeah, I mean Daisy Ridley. She said, I think at one point my last name was like five different last names throughout the movies. It's
mm-hmm.
a tragedy. The movie's good. It's canon. Be happy, but
Yes.
they have room to improve.
Okay.
Uh, I'm then going to go Solo.
Okay.
Solo's a good movie. It's just it's not groundbreaking. It's a good western. I think when you talk about like the style of the film, it's like a very western cowboy kind of a movie, and I know that that's what they were going for.
Yep.
And it's great to fill out the series, but they could have survived without doing it.
Yep.
And then last is Clone Wars, and I know we're doing a series about Clone Wars, but
We're
uh,
not watching that movie.
yeah, and I mean I haven't seen it in a very long time, and when you were describing it to me last week, I was like, "Oh, that happened. That's what." Oh,
Yep. Yep. I mean,
uh,
it's a lot of character building. You meet Ahsoka for the first time canon wise,
canonically,
canonically. It builds. We'll just say that.
we should watch it. I think after we get through this series, let's watch all the
Okay.
movies.
I agree.
And- because it's canon. Be happy, and
There's a lot of stuff.
it's a busy
You're
movie.
you're gonna like my
I'm
ranking.
ready. Let's go.
So the fact that you don't have Empire Strikes Back, number one, is absolute insanity. It is it is the pivotal of what a great Star Wars movie is.
It's in top three.
It the story alone and the reveal at the end is the most iconic thing in pulp culture, and it really puts Star Wars on the map, in my opinion. New Hope did a great job introducing us all to the world, but Empire, the more you watch it, the more flawless of a story it is.
Oh, I think it gets better every time.
Oh, it gets better all the time. Now, Revenge of the Sith, I will completely disagree with you on the point of it doesn't do a good job of finishing off the trilogy. Um, it's the best. It's the best movie out of the trilogies. The dialogue's not as choppy. The acting's way better in it. Um, it has the best saber fight.
In
Um,
Revenge of the Sith?
oh yeah, it's better than the Duel of the Fates.
Oh, for sure. No,
It,
I think I like Revenge of the Sith. Don't get me wrong. Don't
no,
get me
yeah,
wrong. I just think that there's better movies.
I
And
and I and I
the
and I can see where you can put it where you are, and I have no problem with it. I just think it's hilarious that you don't have it higher, but that's not my ranking. So I mean,
hey, you know
you
what?
like Star Wars
Let's
for what you want, and
we'll
we'll
do a
do that.
rewatch after we get through after we get through the episodes. After we get
Okay.
through the Clone Wars, let's rewatch the movies.
Well,
And then at the end,
we got to get through Bad Batch, and then once the new
yeah,
stuff starts
so
releasing, we'll have to do those first.
in
And
7 years we will broadcast this
yes,
part of this episode, and then we will come
yes.
out with our new
New
rankings
rankings.
in
Okay.
7 years.
All right. I'll quickly go through the rest of mine. Return of the Jedi,
Number 3,
the
Return of the
ending,
Jedi.
the redemption. Well, with Revenge of the Sith, you see the fall of Anakin Skywalker into Darth Vader. Return of the Jedi, you see the redemption. You see everything of what he should have been. Rogue One, Vader makes that film for me. I like how they made it different. Everybody in that cast kills it.
He's
Um,
on it. He's arguably the most menacing he ever is
oh,
in that movie.
absolutely. And then you see I Have a New Hope. It's a classic. Force Awakens is it's okay. Kind of the sequels are all kind of ranked the same way. That's
What
why I
what were
have.
your thoughts on Force Awakens the first time you saw it? Or
Uh,
maybe not the first time, but now looking
I
at it critically.
I enjoy it.
Hmm.
Um, it's too closely to A New Hope,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Um, but I enjoy it. It's canon. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um, The Rise of Skywalker. Very fan servicey. Um, I
What
think
you think the scene
bringing
with Kylo Ren with his shirt off, that's not fan service? Come on.
no, even that's in the Last Jedi.
Oh man, see, you show
There you go.
once again. I'm the pod one. You're the master.
Yes. So Rise of Skywalker at 7. I think it does an all right with what it was presented in the first two films. Um, Last Jedi, I'm coming around on it. It's still a lot of the things with Luke's character really frustrate me. Um, but I think I will start to get back to how I viewed it the first time I ever saw it, which was one of my favorite films, and then I started to realize that's not how Luke Skywalker would handle things. Then I go Solo. It's a great heist film. It's a western. I love it. It's great. It's great for what it is. Phantom Menace, dialogue, midichlorians, still kind of
Ugh,
iffy on that.
ugh. That's
Um,
that's that's core.
I know.
That's core to the mythology of the
It is
Jedi.
absolutely,
You're
but
gonna put it all the way down there at
I
number
am.
10.
And well, in Attack of the Clones is just basically the cringe-worthy moments between Anakin and Padme. Like those are
Yeah, but
just so poorly written, in my opinion. It's just not.
how good's the battle? Tell me
Oh,
the
great
battle's not
battle, great
badass.
battle. If we were just basing it on battles, it'd be in the top three. But this isn't battles. This is movies, and then obviously the Clone Wars movie. Um, but we kind of discussed. We kind of there's
I
our
I
rankings.
I will say, okay, I am almost ranking the movies based on if I was a 12-year-old.
Oh yeah.
The acting, not even the acting. The acting's good. And Hayden Christensen is a good actor, and he did
Yes.
exactly what was asked of him.
And what
I
was
love
asked of
you,
him was
George
not good.
Lucas. If you ever hear this, which I doubt you ever will, I
Oh,
just want to say I love you, and you've been a big inspiration for my creativity as a child.
absolutely.
But Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace have, well, in arguably all of the Star Wars movies, the dialogue is like the least well done aspect of all six movies. I'm sorry,
It's
but
okay.
it's especially Attack of the Clones. I killed the women. I killed the children.
That one was okay, but
The whole it.
we'll have a whole nother discussion on that. Um, not much for canon update. Obviously still listening and reading to Rising Storm, but I think we're going to wrap it up for episode number 2. It's kind of a longer one. Uh, but David, um where can the people connect with you on social media?
Connect with me.
I mean,
I'm an enigma. Don't connect with me. You might be able to find me. Who knows? Um, you can find us on TikTok at the Podwans podcast.
yes.
You can find us on Instagram at the Podwans Pod Pod.
Yep.
We're on Twitter. Are we on Twitter yet?
Yes, we are
Are we on
at
Twitter?
at Podwans.
Um, yeah,
I
TikTok,
think that's it.
Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, that's it.
That's
We've
pretty much
got.
it.
You'll see us on YouTube.
Go follow, subscribe, like, comment.
Mhm.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Music,
Anywhere
Amazon.
your podcasts are found.
Yep,
Go rate us
absolutely.
5 stars on Apple because that's something I hear a lot of other podcasts say, and
Yeah, go rate us 5
I
stars.
think that gives us more money and more access to distributing this thing, and we want to get the message out to as many people as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell,
We
email us,
all, yep.
comment, tweet at us. Let us know what you want to see, what you want us to hear, what you want us to talk about,
Yep.
or what you want us to shut up about. If you don't care about our rankings, let us know.
Well, we wanna know everything of what everybody wants. We will have some big announcements here in the next couple of weeks. We've got some possible guests
Yeah,
coming on, talking Star Wars, not only Clone Wars, but other canon and legend stuff. So keep your ears and eyes on social media. And for that, may the force be with you.
it's canon. Be happy.